Hey everybody, welcome back to another video tutorial. Today we're going to dive into the Path Blur tool. So let's get started. What I have here right now is I have a sky layer and I have a road and buildings layer. Now if I open up my sky layer, you can see there's a sky right here off of 9, and I have a couple adjustment layers on top of that. You want your sky to be at the very bottom of your layer stack because it is furthest away. You always work with the sky furthest down in the layer stack. Next, we have a folder with the road and buildings. Now if I click on this layer mask, as you can see, it outlines the buildings. And right here, what I want to do is get rid of this or apply this layer mask to the image. If I try to blur this background and the buildings with the layer mask on it, the layer mask will stop any blurring motion outside where the actual mask is. So what we're going to need to do is apply that layer mask to the image. And now if I click off my sky, you can see that the buildings and the road is on one separate layer and cut out, so I can just blur that. I'll turn the sky back on. What you want to do before you start using any of these filters, you want to convert your layer to a smart object. So we're going to convert it to a smart object. Then we're going to go into Filter, Blur Gallery, Path Blur. Now initially this will open up with a path on here already, and on this path, this point right here is the beginning portion of your path blur, and the arrow will show you the direction in which you're actually going to be blurring. Now if you click on this right here and you move your cursor a little bit on the outside of it, you get these little points which you can kind of adjust. And what basically you're doing is you're adjusting the actual endpoint, the speed of each endpoint. I can do it on this one right here. If I click on this and just move my cursor to the outside of it, you can see I get that also. I think these are very confusing. So I always like to just click on the actual point and then go here and adjust. It's a little bit easier with the slider right here to adjust it on these. So what I want to do in order to make this look correct is we're going to use the vanishing point kind of as a start point back here, where we're going to have all of our blur originating from. And because things that are further away in the background usually have less blur, we're going to start out with the blur, if we click on that, of 20. And then we are going to take this point right here, and we'll extend it, and we'll kind of make it go parallel with the top of this particular guardrail. So our endpoint right here, I'm going to click on that, and I'm going to make that about 500. Oops. Hit enter. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to keep building these out and keep using the lines from the rail, the line down here, the lines down here. So let's put another one right here, beginning and end. And I'm going to bring that down just a little bit. And with that point highlighted, I'm going to make that 20. And then I'm going to make this, we made this 500, so we're going to make this endpoint, let's say 700. As things get closer to the camera, any object that's closest to the front of the camera is going to be blurring more. So as I kind of work my way around here, I'm going to add more speed to give this more blur because it's closer to the camera. As opposed to the buildings in the background, we're probably going to end up doing less blur back there because they're further away in the distance. So let's click on another point, start point, and let's go kind of midway into the road. And this one was 700, so let's make this one 1,000. And let's go back to the beginning point of it, which is this one. Whoops. I'm going to delete that and make that 20. Hit enter. I'm going to bring another one. We're going to go to the edge of the top of the rail, and I'm going to go back here and just drag that over here. And while we're back there, let's make the beginning portion 20 and the end portion 1,300. Let's try that. Now I'm going to click on another one back here, beginning point and end point, and I'm going to make that 1,300 also. And go back to the point back here, and let's make that a little bit more in line with the bottom of the rail, and let's make that 20. Now let's do another one here. Start and finish. Click. Highlight it. 1,300. And go back to the beginning one back here. And let's make that 20 once again. Now let's start here and come along the bottom. Click. Highlight that. We'll make that one 1,300 also. And go back up here and just kind of make it in line a little bit better. And make the beginning point 20. Now as you can see, we've got some crazy blurriness going in the wrong direction here. So I'm just going to take the end of this and I'm just going to kind of move it. Just to kind of get that blur going in that direction. Sometimes you got to add more than you think. So I'll start another one and click on that one. Click on the end point here. Let's make that 1,300 also. Go back up to the beginning and make that 20. And let's put one right here. And maybe we move that just a little bit more. Let's make that end point 1,300 also. Go back up to our beginning point and make that 20. And we'll put another one somewhere in here. That's why I don't like these little circular things, because you can't get close enough to put another point sometimes without those things highlighting. Click on the end point again, and let's make that 1,300 also, and the beginning point 20. And you can see there's still a swoop kind of going through here, which some of it might be okay, but I'm going to drag this one just a little bit closer to this one. And let's put one more right here. Kind of get that direction. Let's go 13 there, and let's go 20 here. So we got a little bit of stuff going on back there, but for the most part it looks pretty good. So that all the blurs and stuff are kind of going in a nice line. The road, all that kind of stuff, just as it would be blurring if we were using a motion rig. So let's work on the building area of it now. So what we're going to do is click back here, and we'll click out here, and let's make it this end portion. Maybe this was 500, so let's make this maybe 300, and the beginning portion 20. Click enter, and let's do the exact same thing. We'll put one here, click. Let's put another one here, click. Now this is kind of strange that the way they have this made. If you click here, drag, and then keep dragging, you'll get a point where you can actually use this path to blur in certain directions. And I will actually do another video on this just to kind of more explain what you can do with this for motion blurs around corners and all that kind of stuff. It works very, very good. But I'm going to go back and just bring this right here, and what I want to do is just click, more or less double tap on that end portion so it won't keep dragging. Click and click at the end. I'm going to do one more. Click to end. Now this I'm going to make 20. Enter. 20. Oops. I'm just going to make all these 20. As you can see, as we kind of work down, we're getting rid of some of this crazy blur that's on the edge of the building. And that's already at 20, and I'm assuming, let's see, 300, 300, 300, 300, 300, 300, and I believe all those are 300. Okay, so with this, you can also adjust your speed if you wanted to. You can make it blur even more, and we can take a look at that once we just kind of process it out and look at it on the actual layer. I'm just going to click on high quality, click OK. Wait for our blur to be processed out. Now, as you can see right here, let me zoom in just a little bit. There is some funkiness going on, and we can go back into the actual blur again. So if we click on the blur gallery, it'll take us back into it. And we can adjust, add more, do whatever we need to do until we're kind of satisfied with it. I'm just going to move these just a little bit closer together. Sometimes adding another, whoops. Sometimes adding another blur or path will help you out. So I'm just going to bring that way. And click OK again. And wait for the computer. doesn't look bad, but there could be, I could go back in there and move these around a couple more different times just to kind of get something that I really, really like. But as you can see right now, we do have a nice bit of blur kind of happening to the pavement. Everything's nice and kind of directional as it would be. So what we want to do next, I'm just going to go through and just kind of finish the rest of the image. What I did here is I just threw out like a hue saturation layer and desaturated it. Little curves. And then I just kind of darkened the sky a little bit and around here. Now the reason why you do the blur like this on a total separate layer is so that you have total control over it. But if I were to have photographed this truck on this bridge just sitting there, in order for me to put the bridge in motion and make the car look like it's actually driving, I would have to cut the vehicle out, put it on a separate layer, just like so. Then I would have to paint the actual drop shadow, which I have a video that I did recently. If you want to check that out, it's how to paint realistic drop shadows. If you look at the actual pavement right now, you can see that the blur of the pavement looks right in the shadow. I'm going to zoom out just a little bit. Now, what I did on top of this is I just added a little bit of grading. And I will actually go into, on my next video, I'm going to go into how to spin the tires. Right here I have a separate folder of just wheel spins. So if I turn this off and turn it on, you can actually see I got the tires spinning off and on again. And I'm going to do a video on how to do that correctly. So with the truck layer, the grading on and off, and then I always add a layer of noise, which I've gone over in a couple other videos, but just to kind of go through that again, I'm going to just put a new layer, call it noise, make that mode overlay, fill it with 50% gray, click OK. OK. I'm going to zoom in just a little bit so you can see the effect of this. I'm going to go to Filter, Noise, Add Noise. Right now there's an amount of 2. I'm going to add an amount of 3. What it's going to do is just add noise across the whole layer. So any layer that was painted or anything like that, all looks like it has film grain on it. So I'm going to click OK. Actually, let's do that again. Filter, or new layer, noise. Label it overlay. Fill it with 50% gray. Click OK. Go to Filter, Noise, Add Noise. The amount is going to be 3. I just wanted to say that you do want Gaussian clicked and you do want monochromatic clicked. Click OK. Now we're going to add a little bit of blur to the actual, little Gaussian blur to the actual noise. Not that much. I'm going to put a point about 0.3. Just kind of take away a little bit of the edge of the actual noise. And I'm going to click OK. So there you have it. It's a good way that you can sit there and use the path blur in order to put motion and motion blurs into your backgrounds just by using the path blur tool. All right, thanks a lot. You guys have a good day, and stick around and subscribe to my videos. We're going to be doing another one on how to spin the tires correctly in these motion shots.